I'm going to show you how I created these scenes using Kling AI and walk you through the step-by-step process that I used. So if you're just getting started with AI video generation, or if you're new to Kling AI, this video is for you. I'll show the full movie now and then I'll go over the step-by-step process. This is the general framework that I used for the process. The first step is to create reference images of the characters and locations that I want. Then I use those reference images to create elements. And then from there, I use those elements to build out the scene. Step one is creating those reference images. I decided that I wanted to go with like a post-apocalyptic Mad Max style. So that's the style that I went for. The prompt I used was a dusty car in a post-apocalyptic town. It came up with this. These specific images, I use Z-Image. Z-Image is open source, but you can use any AI image generator. You can use Midjourney, Kling, but I decided to test out Z-Image to see what the quality was, and it came up with these images. I decided to go with this one for the main reference image. So in this image, the car is facing forward, and I needed some other viewpoints just to build out the scene. So what I did was I used a prompt using this image as a reference, and then use that to generate a side view. So for example, in the prompt I used was medium angle side view shot, and then using the image as a reference point, and it gave me two variations, and I decided to go with this one. I felt like that matched the look that I was going for. After that, I wanted to add a few trucks to the scenes. I went on Google and found this image of a random truck. I felt like this one, was kind of what I was looking for. And I also looked for like a Mad Max style of truck, just so I can use that in another scene as well. And then using those, so I had those as reference images for the two trucks that I wanted to add later on. So now that I had the cars and the trucks that I wanted in the scenes, I wanted to generate a character that I could use to drive one of the trucks. And I decided to use Kling to generate those images. So the prompt I used was a tough looking man wearing rugged clothing with jeans and boots. And these were the four variations that it gave me. I chose this one. From there, I used this as the base reference image and then use different prompts to get different angles of the character. So for example, I had a close-up shot so that I could get better detail. I also used a side angle shot, a side angle close-up, a three-quarter angle close-up, just to get different variations and angles so that I had enough detail to build out the element. By the way, I learned this technique from Tao Prompts. If you're not familiar with him, I suggest you go check out some of his videos on his channel. He has a lot of great videos on AI filmmaking and AI video generation. So I feel like you'll learn a lot just by going through his videos. So huge shout out to him for the technique. So now that you have all your reference images, you can go ahead and start creating elements. What you do is you open Omni in Kling, and you're going to click on create element, and that's going to open up this window here. From here, you're going to upload all the images, reference images that you created for that character. The first image is going to ask you to give an image of the character facing front. And then from there, you're going to add all the different angles of that character. So what this is doing is telling Kling or showing Kling the different angles of the character so it doesn't have to guess when it puts that character in a scene. So this is basically giving as much information as possible to the AI so that it knows, okay, when I put this character in the scene, what does it look like from this angle? What does it look like from that angle? Instead of having to guess, and it makes things more consistent throughout the scenes. After you upload the images, it's going to ask you to label and give a description of the character. And then also you're going to tag it as a character. You can also choose a voice. I chose not to do that. Then from there, you just click generate to create the element. So now that you have your reference images and your elements, you can go ahead and get started with building out the scenes. For the first scene, I wanted to show the car driving down the road and then the camera slowly moving up to show the truck behind it. This is the prompt that I used. Image two drives down the road. The camera slowly moves up to reveal Dusty, image one, driving behind. So, what I'm doing here is I'm referencing the elements, or I guess the reference images that I wanted to use in this scene. So, image two is the car. I want that to be the main focus. And then I wanted image one, which is the truck. I wanted to have it driving behind. So the first thing that Kling gave me, it didn't come out right. The car was driving backwards, and then the truck ended up like turning sideways, and that's not really what I wanted to do. So then I tried it again, and then it ended up giving something along the lines of what I was looking for, just having it follow behind. For the next scene, I wanted to show a close-up shot from inside the car. So this is the prompt that I used. I used the first car as a reference image, so that it knew that it was inside of that car. And then I wrote close-up shot inside the car. A man in his 30s driving the car looks at the rearview mirror and has a concerned look on his face. And this is what Kling gave me. It was pretty good, so I decided to use it. By the way, if anybody notices, for some reason, the man in the car looks a lot like Pedro Pascal. This is 100% by accident. I had no no idea why I did that. I just put, a random man in the prompt, and then this is what it gave me. So I just find it interesting that that's kind of the look that it was going for. The next scene I wanted was a close up of Raider, the character that I created, inside the truck behind him, and kind of having like an angry look on his face. So this is the prompt that I used. I used the truck as the reference image, close up shot inside the truck, and then I referenced Raider, the character, is driving with an angry look on his face. So the first generation that I got from Kling, it was okay, but I noticed that number one, the character was talking when I didn't want him to talk, and also the background was not accurate. So it got a little bit more complicated, and I had to kind of figure out how to kind of match the background with the scene. So it took me a lot of trial and error to get to this prompt. So let me break it down for you. So number one, referencing the truck as the main image. So image one, close up shot inside the truck. And then I reference the character, Raider, is driving with an angry look on his face as he stares straight ahead. And then lastly, I'm using that first reference image that I generated, and I'm using that to use that as reference for the environment. So in this situation, reference image two for environment design and ignore the subjects in those images. I wanted just the environment. I didn't want to have the car mixed up in that scene. And this is what I got for the final shot. I felt that it came out pretty good. I felt like that was what I was looking for that scene. Then I wanted a scene that had the truck bumping into the car in front of it. This one took me a few tries because for some reason, like one in this one, for example, the car was chasing the truck, and I wanted the other way around. Also, the Raider, the other character, he was in the wrong side on the driver's seat. So it took me a few more tries to kind of get that right, and then finally I was able to get this, which was what I was looking for. Next, I wanted to have a scene where the car leaves the town, drives away from the town, and the camera slowly zooms out. So this is the prompt that I used. I used the side image of the car that I generated as the reference, and then put the car drives across the road at full speed. The camera slowly zooms out. So this is what I got using that prompt. If you notice closely, there's nobody in the front seat. If you notice, there was supposed to be two people in the car from the first image, and then in this image, there's only one person in the car. I realized that later on when I was doing the different scenes, and I just ended up just leaving that in there because at that point I had already made too many scenes and I was like, I didn't want to go back and have to generate all those scenes over again. So that's kind of what happened there. Next, I wanted a scene with a gas station, and I used that first initial image as the reference. And this is the prompt that I used: wide shot of dusty gas station. I wanted it to have the same feel as the first image. So I wanted to feel like it was in the same universe as that image. So using that as a reference, it gave me these two images, which I felt were pretty decent. And I decided to go with this one as the location of the scene. The gas station scene is probably the one that took me the longest to generate. It was really hard for me to get the motion correct. For some reason, even though I prompted the character to go inside the gas station, for some reason it was always he was always running away or running outside or running a different direction. It was just really hard to get that exact motion. For example, here, I don't know what going on here. Two people hopped out the car, and this guy ran full speed across the road, which wasn't even. I mean, he got the speed right. You know, he understood the assignment, but it wasn't the motion of the main character that I wanted to do. So it was a lot of trial and error to get this scene accurate. So I finally got this scene, which I felt was pretty good. It got the motion right, it got the clothing right. The only thing I would say is that if you look closely at his face, it's not as clear and crisp as the other scenes. So I think it's just that's just how every once in a while you'll have some errors, or not. I shouldn't say errors, but there's a little issues with the generation process. So I think that kind of lowered the quality in that respect. But besides that, I think it's pretty good. So I decided to go with it. For the second to last scene of the truck driving on the road towards him, I used a reference image that I got off of Google. It's like a Mad Max style truck. This one took me a few tries because I guess the way I prompted it, it didn't it thought that the car and the truck were it got them mixed up. It's almost like a fever dream, actually. Like, it looks like almost like a false start. Like the truck, is about to move forward, and then it just transforms into the car. It's just like a weird visual, and it's like something you would see in like a dream or something like that. But it took me a while, and finally I got this visual, and I feel like this one was what I was looking for. Some tips to help with quality would be to use Kodak Portra 160 film in your prompts to create realistic, high quality reference images. I felt that these ones gave the most realistic looking and clear photos. Also, you want to generate reference images from many different angles to create your elements. You want to give the AI as many different perspectives so that it doesn't have to guess what a character or an element looks like from a given angle. And then lastly, use 16:9 aspect ratio to build out your scenes. I feel like that really helps with the quality of the video. So that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions or if you want me to go over anything else in another video, let me know in the comments.